Hi guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new, however, my name is Juliana. Welcome to the channel. I do fashion and lifestyle videos. In today's video, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about how to start a clothing brand and or fashion line in 4 fundamental steps that I myself took when I started Studio Truré back in October of 2021. Speaking of, quick shout out to the bodysuit that I'm wearing today, which is by my brand. This is our contour bodysuit. The knit fabric literally feels like Spanx, so it really hugs you in, tucks you in, contours your waist. We offer it in champagne and in blue. And with that being said, let's get started into how you can also start your own fashion brand. Step number 1, educate yourself on how clothing is made. So understand what sketching, illustrating is and looks like. Then from that, you go into draping and creating the pattern. And then from pattern making, you go into grading, which is the process of which you make your sizes. Then once you do that, you go into production. So if you don't know these terms, I highly suggest you start looking them up. Understanding the process in which things start and how they end in production is very important. And I could do a whole separate video on this, but I wanted to throw out those terms because I think they're very important for you guys to understand. And some of the best brands that you can think of really have a team of people, to be honest, who know their stuff. They know what they're talking about when it comes to how educated they are on fitting clothing, making clothing, the fabrications that take for certain clothes to look the way that they do, etc. So educate yourself on a variety of things within the production process and just how clothing is made in general. I also wanted to preface this first step with understanding that school is not necessary. Because this is a creative field, you can totally get away with not going to school. However, with that being said, I was the type of person, I know a lot of people like this, who lack discipline when they're younger. And I do think if you want the discipline, you want motivation, and you want to be surrounded by like-minded people, just in a more easier manner, then paying and going to school, I think, is very helpful in that sense. But with all the resources that there are online on YouTube and Instagram these days, it's very easy to educate yourself as well. Shout out to my friend Natalia Dedios, who also has a YouTube channel on how to make clothes. You can go check her out there as well. I will link her in this video. But yeah, like I said earlier, you can either go to school or teach yourself these things. It's not going to make or break your success. There's very successful fashion designers that have been freelance, like Michael Costello, etc. So definitely gain as much knowledge as you can. Also keep in mind, you may not be the best seamstress, you may not be the best illustrator, but just as long as you're able to execute your ideas that are in here onto paper and explain them to other people what you would like done, that's also very important. You don't have to be the best artist, the best sketcher, you really don't. But you do have to be very good at communicating your imagination and the thought process in your head of what you want a dress to look like or a pant, etc. Number 2, once you have all of your knowledge and you feel that you're prepped and educated on how clothing is made to begin with, then step number 2 is really a whole nother journey. Create your brand aesthetic. So by create your brand aesthetic, I mean everything from the style of your clothes, what you're gonna offer to customers, what your customer looks like, what do they do, what's their lifestyle. Really define your niche apparel collection and narrow it down to where you know what your clients look like and who is going to buy from you. This also can include creating your logo, creating your packaging. Creating an aesthetic there's so many factors involved because there's a lot of brands that have like brand colors. You know, take Valentino, for example, with the red, and take Bottega with their like bright green. These things are all part of brand creation and aesthetic creation, and they're very important because they speak to the client and they are a big representation of who they are, what kind of clothes you're about to buy, etc. So if you have a really good idea of that, the more successful your brand is going to be. There's so many different brands, but if you really think about the ones that stand out in your head, those are the ones that have thought about their client profile so hard, and they've really gotten it down to a point where they really defined who their clients are and or who's interested in their brand very well, just by designing a logo, a collection, packaging, and a website that are very cohesive and go together beautifully. It's almost like creating a presentation with your product. So again, brand aesthetic creation, super key. One thing to keep in mind as well is that once you start selling, you may run into a situation where you start selling to people who you didn't expect to sell to, and that's okay. The more the merrier, but just keep that in mind, because when I started my brand, I definitely had clients that were very surprising, but I was very on point with the kinds of people that I was designing for to begin with. So that helps immensely too. Step number 3 is to find a good producer. Now, you can find a producer anywhere on Google. There's tons of places all over the world to find a producer, such as China, so overseas, Korea. Then if we're talking in Europe, let's say Portugal, for example, India, Italy, and there's also South America. Whomever you choose to produce with, just make sure the communication from the start is very clear, all the way to the process of once you're done sample making your products with this production company, continue on having good, clear communication with them throughout the production process. Things get lost in translation a lot, you guys, so make sure that you guys are extremely on the same page. Everything from how you want your finishing details to look to how you want it to be packaged sometimes are key details that you forget but need to be communicated. I'm going to link 2 links below that I think would be good for you guys to get started. Alibaba.com is one of them. The CFDA website has a lot of resources on whom you can start sample making and producing with as well, in the state of New York, I believe. So yeah, with that being said, production and having a good communicative and trusting relationship with your producer is so important, because essentially you need good product to execute so that you can provide the best product for your clients, and that way you can start making money. And step number 4, invest in marketing for your brand. This will help gain traffic and engagement and exposure to your brand. So by that, I mean, look into hiring influencers to wear your clothing, friends and family that you know, people on TV, etc. All these things will help your brand immensely. And there's no such thing as bad exposure when you're first starting a brand. I think later on, when you get big and you're a big name, you can then be a little bit more selective about who wears what and who you want to hire to wear what. But at this point, when you're starting, I've learned that any exposure is great exposure, and I'm still learning so much about the Facebook ad world and Instagram boost postings, things like that. They're super key to also gaining organic following into your Instagram. And if you're curious about any of these things that I'm mentioning, look it up on YouTube as well. There's so many videos on Facebook ads that are so incredible, and I feel so lucky to have been able to live in this generation, in this time where we have all this information out there. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, comment them below. I also want to give one last shout out to my baby brand, Studio Truré. We have the contour bodysuits, as well as blazers, pants, and I am launching dresses and 2-piece sets soon in the spring, summer. So go check us out at Studio Truré on Instagram, or our website, studiotruré.com. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I inspired you to start your own brand. It's definitely possible. Don't give up on your dreams, but do realize that your dreams are hard work. Starting a brand is hard work. So thank you guys for all the support and love. See you in the next video. Bye.